let's talk about the PS4. If I were to sum up the PS4 conference in one word, I think it would have to be ambivalence. Because quite honestly, I've never come out of a tech conference with more mixed feelings than I have with the PS4. And I think the reason there were so many mixed feelings was because there was a lot of questions left unanswered by Sony. So why don't I start with what I did enjoy about the conference? Because there are a few things that really kind of wowed me. Now, I'm not a technical guy, but it seems that the PS4 is going to be just a powerhouse when it comes to things like speed, memory, and graphics. And at the heart of this was the ease of use of the PS4. I mean, the idea that I could just push my on button and I could boot right into a game is just fantastic. They also said that downloading games will take significantly less time than on the PS3, and you can actually start playing your games as the game is downloading. They also made it a point that you can pause your game and shut off your system, and then the next day boot it up again, and you'll start exactly where you stopped playing the day before. But I think what did it for me was the share button at the top of the PS4 controller. Now, I'm a guy who's always wanted to get into Let's Plays seriously. As someone who has an AverMedia screen capture HD device for my consoles, I know the process it takes to get movies from your console to your computer and finally uploaded onto whatever social media service you're using. The PS4 will allow you to record 15 minutes of gameplay and instantly upload it to whatever service you're using. Or at least that's the impression that I got. See, I found it a little odd that they mentioned Facebook and Ustream as the two predominant services, and they made no mention of YouTube. Oh, sure, they said you can upload the last 15 minutes of YouTube, which is kind of the maximum length for each video, but they never said YouTube specifically, which I thought was a bit odd. You can also use the console for live streams as well. Hopefully the camera peripheral that's used for the motion controllers will be shipped with the PS4, but quite honestly, I'm skeptical that it will be, and I think it'll just be another upsell for people who want to do Let's Plays. And honestly, if you're not a fan of Let's Plays, it's really hard to grasp the concept that people would want to watch other people play video games. One of the things they're really trying to sell you on is the fact that the PS4 is going to be a lot more social. Really, it's not offering anything that the PS3 doesn't already do. I mean, you could talk to your friends, you could play with your friends, you can interact with them, but I think it's going to be a much more streamlined and user-friendly process than it is currently on the PS3. I like how Sony's tailoring their strategy to bring up new playing models that weren't in existence 6 or 7 years ago when the PS3 debuted. Things like light versions of games, free-to-play model versions of games, and tech demos to play before the game is even released. Another thing that I'm really excited about and kind of worried about at the same time is the whole idea of personalization when it comes to games. One of the things that Sony made it a real sticking point about is that the PS4 will learn your game tastes with the more games you play, and then custom tailor your experience to other games that you might like. But the thing that really worried me about that was the fact they said that things like demos and other games will download automatically to your console, even if you didn't ask for it. I don't want things automatically being downloaded to my console without my knowledge of it. Now, I'm sure there's going to be an option on the PS4 that says, don't download anything without my permission. I don't want my internet use to go up as a result of things being automatically downloaded to my console. But again, this is another issue that needs to be raised. And I also really like the fact that Sony went to the developers firsthand, both for indie games as well as for the big blockbuster games, to say, okay, what don't you want in the system? What are the limitations that blockade you or that block you from making the games that you've always wanted? And from that, they took the feedback from the developers and made a better console as a result. I think they really want to make the PS4 more open and more accessible for developers and for people that want to start developing games and having them uploaded eventually, possibly one day, on the PSN network. All right, so now that I got the good stuff out of the way, let me talk about the stuff that worried me or I just didn't like about the conference. Number one, they didn't actually show a console. It was kind of like the greatest magic trick in marketing history. Oh, we're unveiling the big console on February 20th, but there's no actual console. Secondly, we don't have a price point yet. I really don't think it will be as expensive as the PS3 was when it first went to release to market at around $600 US. I actually think it will be a lot cheaper, at least that's what a lot of people are saying. But again, they didn't tell us anything about the price, and that worried a lot of people. Now, looking at the afterthoughts for what many journalists and what many people thought about the conference, I kind of boil it down to three issues that are really bugging a lot of people. Number one, no backwards compatibility. Why isn't Sony making their PS4 backwards compatible? Now, Sony would probably give you the bullshit answer that it costs too much, or it would raise the price of the overall PS4. And correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't the first model PS3s backwards compatible with the PS2? Now, going into the conference, a lot of us knew that backwards compatibility was not going to happen on this console. And it doesn't really make sense to go out and purchase a PS4 right from the get-go when you can't play those stable of games that you already own from your PS3 or your PS2 or whatever Sony console you had previously. And if you want to know my further thoughts and feelings about backwards compatibility, I'm going to put an annotated link in the corner here so you can watch it for yourself. Which brings me to point number two, and that is the fact that the PS4 will stream games as opposed to either downloading them or playing them from a disc. I'm going to be frank, I really don't like the fact that I'll be streaming games as opposed to downloading them or playing them from a disc. One reason for this, and maybe it's because I'm old school or I'm getting older, is I like having a physical copy of the disc in my library. And I don't get that when I stream games. But the second reason is, it eats up my bandwidth like crazy. I mean, I don't want my internet use to go way up because I'm streaming games 24/7. Because when you think about it, an internet service provider can get more money out of you than the actual purchase of the game, if it's, say, a game that takes 30, 50, or 100 hours to complete. And if you're streaming these games instead of having them downloaded or playing them off a physical copy, all that just goes to your bandwidth. I've also heard rumors, and I think they might have been confirmed, that Sony will actually start charging to use online gaming, much like Xbox does with the Xbox Live. You know, I know this is the wave of the future where things don't actually exist or operate on a cloud system, but doesn't mean I have to like it. And I don't like it, quite frankly. And this brings me to point number three, and that is the ability to play used games. If you've been following Sony for the past couple of months, then you've no doubt seen the patents that only allow one game to be played per console. Essentially what would happen is you take your new game, you put it in your PS4, and that game is permanently linked to your user account. In other words, you can't purchase used games and play it on your console, or you can't take your game and sell it to a game store. And honestly, this is probably the biggest boneheaded move for Sony, if it turns out to be true. I like playing used games. I get a lot of value out of used games. And if people tell me in the comments that, oh, you can stream these old games, that's BS. I want to be able to play the used games I already have. I shouldn't have to buy them again just because I'm getting a new console. And what's even worse is your downloads currently on your PS3 or from the PSN network won't transfer over to the PS4. I mean, why? I mean, I paid for them. Shouldn't I be able to have them on one console or the other? Now, I know I'm jumping the gun here, but this presents a golden opportunity for Microsoft as well as Valve. Because if either of these consoles include either of these features, it represents a golden opportunity, and I think a lot of people will jump consoles as a result. Okay, so now that we got the console out of the way, let's talk about the games for it. And honestly, I wasn't that impressed with the games they showed at the conference. So let me tell you first what I really enjoyed. Watch Dogs. I think Ubisoft has really got their head together with this game. I think it's going to be amazing. And they showed real in-game footage. But they also said that it'll also be released for the PS3 as well as the PS4, which leaves me scratching my head a little. It looks great, it's unique, it's just one of those new IPs that you expect with the unveiling of a new console, and I think they delivered in spades. Jonathan Blow's The Witness. Now, believe it or not, I've been actually waiting for this game for about 3 years to come out. I remember Stephen Tolio, or Tolio, I'm not sure how he pronounces his name, unveiled the game at PAX 2010, I believe, and ever since then, I've been going on Jonathan Blow's development diary blog, every few months to check up on the progress, and quite honestly, this game looks fantastic. I mean, Bloat gave this excuse that the PS3 didn't have the processing power that the game required, and so that's why they moved to the PS4. But honestly, come on, like, this game does not require a lot of memory or a lot of graphical power to produce. Put it on the PS3, and I'll be happy. But the showstopper, I think, of the conference was this new game by Capcom called Deep Down, which really looks like a next-generation Demon's Souls, in my opinion. Because not only did it look fantastic, but it all looked like in-game footage. And it really showed that graphical leap from the PS3 to the PS4, when a lot of the other games failed to deliver in that aspect. I remember the head of Blizzard coming out, and I was like, oh, fantastic, okay, what new IP do you have coming to the PS4? Because I don't normally play MMOs. But when he stepped on the stage, I was like, yes, Blizzard, all right, come on, show me what you got. And he shows Diablo 3. I was really expecting something new, something fresh, and then they say, oh, well, we're just going to port your game from the PC to the PS4. And then there was Killzone. I think the game's called Deadwall, which looked pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big Killzone fan, but again, it didn't wow me like the third game did when they showed it at the PS3 conference in 2006. We also got a glimpse of the new Infamous game, which I'm not going to lie to you, looks really good, but I think the fact that it wasn't in-game footage and it was really only a CGI trailer didn't impress a lot of people. But one of the things that really excited me was the game Drive Club. Now, I'm not a fan of racing games, but the idea that you can create clubs or teams and race them online with anyone around the world is actually really exciting. I've never really seen that done so much in a video game. Now, they also unveiled this game where you actually use the PlayStation Move to sculpt things in real time. And I gotta be honest, I was a little intrigued from that. I mean, I think it's just going to be one of those novelties that you'll play for 5 minutes and then never touch again. But honestly, if I had that game with me, the first thing I would draw is dicks. That's it, dicks. And then I'd take my dick creations and make like a Godzilla dick and destroy the little villagers and they'd be running and running. And what was really funny was at the conference they showed like all of the creations that the developers made with this game. And quite honestly, I thought to myself, that had to be only like 10% of what they actually made, because I think the stuff they made that was too offensive to show was just insane. I know I'm a juvenile creep for saying that, but honestly, if I'm thinking it, there are going to be a million other people going to be doing it when that game is shipped to market. So, to summarize our little discussion, I like the sharing aspect of it. I like the ease of use aspect of it. I like the personalization options of it. What I don't like about the PS4, the ability not to be able to play used games, the fact that it's not backwards compatible, and the idea that I have to now stream games in order to play them. Now I want to hear what you have to say. Did you like the Sony conference? Did you dislike it? Is there a topic about the Sony conference that I may have overlooked? Feel free to post a comment in the comment section below, and as always, feel free to rate this video and subscribe to my channel. That being said, I'm the Millennium Gamer, signing off.